welcome back to J2W Journey to Wholeness. I am Jalen, and we are back doing another video. And as you can see, the title of today's video is called Spiritual Clapback. And before we start, this is just a reminder to always pray. Pray for me, pray for your family, pray for your friends, to always stay in commune with God, just making sure that you have your family in prayer and that you just talk to God on a daily basis about pretty much everything. So, sometimes we fight the wrong things, the wrong people, the wrong situations. Sometimes we get so caught up in what man says that we forget that we have an enemy to fight. Sometimes we get so caught up in what man did that we forget that we have a devil to fight. And sometimes the enemy is speaking to friends or family or co-workers, and I don't know who this is for, but it's definitely for me. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. Sometimes we are losing the battle because we are simply fighting it the wrong way. And in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3 through 4, it says, "For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have the divine power to demolish strongholds." So, are you trying to fight a spiritual battle with carnal weapons? I know I have a time or two. Have you ever been waiting to see someone so you could roll your eyes? Have you ever been waiting to see someone so you could come back with the clapback that you thought about last night, and that's what you forgot to say during the argument, so when you see him again, you're going to bring it up? Have you ever been waiting to start a fight, waiting to pick a fight? But God told me that when your weapons aren't carnal is when you're working with your strongest artillery. When your weapons aren't carnal is when you are working with your strongest artillery. Your praise and your worship are one of your strongest weapons in situations and battles that you feel like you're not equipped for. Sometimes we go through things in life and we feel like we want to fight, or we feel like there should be some ways to get through or to get over. And God said the best way for you to fight is to praise, to worship, and to pray. God is saying the best way to clap back is to pray. The best way to clap back is to praise. And sometimes you have to pray mad. Sometimes you have to pray angry. Sometimes you have to pray upset. Sometimes you have to pray while the tears run down your face. Sometimes you have to pray while you're just in a bad mood or a bad space. Don't ever feel like you have to be perfect or have it all together when it comes to praying and expressing how you feel to God. And we must not forget that our enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And our enemy lives in the spirit realm. And I think it's a lot easy for us to want to get back or want to put things together on our own. But we have to remember, spiritual clapback is pray. And a lot of times when you walk really close with God and you've been doing it for a while, sometimes that makes the enemy have to think. He has to think of new strategies, and he has to think of new ways to try to throw us off course. And the enemy may be saying, I know I can't get them with lies. I know I can't get them with lust. I know I can't get them with fornication. So I have to create new solutions to try to throw them off course. And sometimes those ways that the enemy comes up with are so gray that you don't know the end from the beginning. Have you ever been in a gray situation? Have you ever been in a problem that was so gray to where you don't know if you're right or wrong? You don't know if this is good or bad, but it's gray and you're uncomfortable and things are out of place. But in that area, in that space, we have to remember to tell the enemy to bag back. We have to remember to not allow the circumstances and the situations that happen in life to steal our praise. Don't let the enemy walk up on you and steal your weapons. Don't let the enemy take away your praise, your prayer, and your worship. Because sometimes in life we can have really confusing days. On the days where we don't know the end from the beginning and we can't figure out if things are going right or if they're going wrong. We can't figure out if things are falling apart or if they're coming together. But on those confusing days, God wants us to remember to pray, and He wants us to confess out of our own mouths. Letting the devil know, this is where God has placed me. This is who God has called me to be. And sometimes we just have to put up our weapons and tell the enemy to back up. We have to confess out of our own mouths. Don't wait for mama to do it. Don't wait for daddy to do it. Don't wait for grandmama to do it. Don't wait for the pastor to do it. You don't have to have a meeting. Sometimes you just have to say it yourself. Sometimes you just have to confess yourself. Stop in your tracks and have a spiritual clapback moment. And the more and more I walk with God, I come closer and closer to know my meaning in life, or my purpose in life. I feel like I've come to realize that there really isn't a lot of room or, excuses to be maybe bad or negative all the time. Yes, we will have tough days. Yes, we will have emotional days, and there's, grace for those. But overall, I feel like I've gotten the sense from God that He wants us to be happy and at peace with the lives that He gives us, the gifts that He gives us, the gift that He gives us, and the call that He gives us, and the blessings that He gives us. And there's been a lot of controversy on whether God wants us to be happy or not happy. He doesn't want us to be happy. He wants us to be holy. I think this is just what I feel comes in my spirit after reading the Bible and doing my own study. I think God does want us to be emotionally well. I don't think He wants, whether we are happy or not, to get in the way of the call. If you have to be happy to answer the call, if you have to be happy to keep your commitment, if you have to be happy to get up every day, I don't think God is too worried about that. But I do believe that God wants us to enjoy and have joy in the life that He has given us, because we often read the Bible and the Word says that God is gracious and God is kind and God is love and God is forgiving and God is abounding in love. But all at the same time, we turn around and say that God doesn't want us to be happy. I think that's one of those controversial things that we have been dealing with for a long time. But I guess that's up to you to decide. But He wants us to answer the call, obey His commands, serve Him, and tell the devil sometimes, back up. And we just have to keep going, and we just have to believe and trust in God in our everyday lives. And I believe that our sole purpose in life is to serve God, serve people, and to be happy doing it. Trials and tribulations come, but once God gets us through those trials, once He gets us through those tribulations, He wants us to remember the original plan. And the original plan was for us to answer the call, for us to serve Him, for us to serve people, for us to love one another, and to obey His commands. And in my study time, I believe that that's what God's original plan was, and His original intent was with Adam and Eve in the garden. It was His plan and His intent for us to serve Him, serve one another, love one another before sin came into the world. And I think that this is something that I've been holding on to when times get hard, when times get tough, and some things that we all should hold on to is remember the original plan. Sometimes life comes and things get blurry and things get hazy. But God wanted me to tell you guys, and He told me, remember the original plan. And remember that there's going to be some times where you're going to have a spiritual clapback moment. Don't be afraid to tell the devil to back up off me. Don't be afraid to tell the devil that he doesn't belong and this isn't his territory. This isn't where he is going to stay. Don't be afraid. You don't have to be passive. Remember spiritual clapback, and remember to always stay in prayer, and remember the original plan. So I hope you guys enjoyed this short video. If you ever have any questions or comments, you can always leave them down below. And if you follow me on Facebook, you can always send your questions or comments in the messenger. So I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of the week, and I will see you next time.